Come with us as we travel between Hollywood Studios and EPCOT and find out exactly how much easier it is to travel by boat when you have a mobility scooter. One of the really friendly modes of accessible transportation is the boats, and we decided to take the boats leaving Hollywood Studios. So here you can see us. We are headed to the boat launch that is located out the entrance of Hollywood Studios and to the left.
And one thing that you'll find here is the abundance of benches. I don't think I had ever paid attention to the number of benches before, but given that I'm now eye level to most things as opposed to when I was standing up, I think I see things more clearly in a lot of ways. There are a lot of benches on this path, and I think we counted 12. So if you need a place to go and get away from the massive crowds inside, or you just want to go and watch the boats or watch the ducks and the fish in this lagoon, plenty of places to do that. You could even sit here and have a picnic lunch or a snack. Just a really nice area, as you can see, with some trees.
It's a nice area to get away.
Yeah, it is. And I think the only thing you have to keep in mind is that, those benches are going to get hot. So if it's Florida hot, it's probably not the place you want to sit.
And I believe you can actually leave Hollywood Studios and come back in. You're not forced to stay in there. Now, the nice thing about this particular boat is, one, ultimately it'll take you to EPCOT, but it will also stop at some of the resorts along the way. Now, you may have to wait for a couple of minutes for it. They run on about every 10 to 20 minute schedule, but it is a nice way of going. It's a time sink for sure. If you're looking to get somewhere quickly, this may not be the method of travel for you, but it is still a very accessible, friendly method of travel.
So if you've got the time, go enjoy the journey here. This is something that we have always loved, riding these boats, and sometimes we would just go and ride the boats from point A to point B to C to D and not even go into the parks, because we just like seeing something different and going and doing something different. And these boats have always been one of the things that we really did enjoy. As you can see, we were second in line, so we shouldn't have any trouble. They already have the ramp out because they could see me when they pulled up. They're actually going to let me go and park the scooter inside of this little area for the strollers and handicap accessible things like wheelchairs and scooters. And here's where I notice how bad the paint is peeling on the inside of the boat. I mean, you can probably see it there, multiple colors. It's just something that you don't notice until, again, you're sitting at a different level when you're on the scooter, and so I think you just start to notice things. So they let me park it there. I take the key, and then I'm going to get to sit on the back of the boat, which is always my favorite place to sit. Sean and I love to sit back here and just, enjoy the nice cool breeze and be able to see things without the obstruction of the windows.
One of the nice things about taking this boat trip is that you get to see some of the backside of some of the EPCOT resorts. These are areas that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see, and it just gives you a different perspective. And you get to see other boats that are going along, and overall it's just a nice leisurely journey. Ultimately, we are going to EPCOT. Here you're seeing the backside of the Swan and the Dolphin. I just can't reiterate enough how relaxing it is on a warm day to just be enjoying the boat ride. We say that there is joy in the journey, and this is one of those examples of there being joy in the journey. While we have accessibility and mobility needs, you come to realize that getting there is part of the adventure. It's not just where you're going, it's just not getting to your destination. The actual process of taking the journey to your destination becomes enjoyable as well.
And I think one of the things to remember here, at least for me, is that when I was able to park the scooter on the inside of the boat, and then I got to basically separate myself from it. I didn't have to worry about it. I wasn't having to look for it, but I got to go sit on the back of the boat. And I just felt like a normal person who had never been impacted by an injury that basically took away so many things that were near and dear. But it's almost like I was able to just completely escape from it for a little while. And there's benefit in that, and it's a lot of reassurance that life does roll on no matter what happens. I will point out that if it is really hot, I would not advise that you try to sit on the back, but on the inside, when it is pretty hot outside, at least it is a little bit cooler. So if heat is a problem, I would not suggest that you try to sit on the back.
It is shaded inside.
Yeah, much more shaded inside, and the windows are a little bit tinted, so that might, just be a consideration if heat exhaustion is something that you're trying to avoid.
So when we arrived at Epcot, our purpose for being there that day, it was part of a larger purpose of getting over to the Magic Kingdom using a monorail. And there's another video linked for that. Of course, we're not going to show you going through security, but it is very quick and easy to get through security in this area. Also, right past the ticket check-in area, there is this Braille map that is right out there in the open. So anybody can come up, put their hands on it. If they can read Braille, they can get a map, their very own map of Epcot. This is just an example of how Disney tries to make their parks accessible for everyone. On our way through Epcot, we stopped at the Butterfly Garden. And how did you enjoy the Butterfly Garden?
Oh, I always enjoy the Butterfly Garden. Now, this is something that's only open during the Flower and Garden Festival. As a former second grade teacher, every year we used to teach the life cycle of the butterfly unit. So I always enjoyed going through that process with my students. But this really takes me back to the years that I taught second grade and how we would get all of the different things ready for the butterflies, and then they would come in and we would have the little cups that they would mature in, and how you would always find you some boys that are not yucked out by the smell of the food, because their food that you give them didn't smell great at all. So I always would find boys that didn't mind doing the yucky smelling stuff, but I really do enjoy going through here. And when this was the first year that I had done this on a scooter, so I was really concerned that I wouldn't be able to go in, because a lot of times these butterflies will actually land on the ground, and I don't want to drive over a butterfly and kill it. But we got in just fine. The path was nice and wide. I was able to navigate it and see what I wanted to see, which was literally all of the butterflies and all the beautiful flowers. But you can see here, we've got butterflies on the different plants. So this is, it's really beautiful. It's not overly hot in there. And it's very educational too, because there's lots of different things on different signs and different exhibits in this area to teach everybody, not just children, but to teach everybody about planting butterfly gardens and the importance of pollinators and just all of the things that go into helping our butterflies and bees and things like that. So it's just a beautiful exhibit that I really wish was open probably more than just a little bit of time every year, but they have to close these things out to make way for other things.
Well, they have to be sensitive to the needs of the butterflies.
Right, as well.
This isn't going to fly, no pun intended, in the winter, for example.
No, it's not. I mean, it may in Florida, but still, you've got to think about where the butterflies are coming from and where they're going to go to as well.
So it was overall a very good experience, and we went to a couple of other places, and you can see that on our Epcot events video. But after Epcot, we took the monorail and went over to the Magic Kingdom, or I should say the Ticket and Transportation Center, for the purpose of riding the ferry over to the Magic Kingdom. And here we are going to the ferry loading area. If you're interested in seeing how we got over here on the monorail, again, you can see that video at the end. There's a link to it. But just like the boats, the ferry is extremely easy to roll on and roll off. Mm-hmm. There's just this waiting area. It's pretty open, kind of a first come, first serve. And then when it is time to load, you will drive over a wooden bridge, dock.
And it's very smooth. I mean, you'll hear the wheels of your scooter kind of...
They'll bump a little, but it's...
clanging and bumping, but it's not overly jarring or jostling. It has been fine the couple of times that I have been across it. And this is one of the easier things to get on and off of, because there's no doors, there's no entrances that you really have to worry about. And of course, all the cast members that work on the boats, just like all the other cast members, are super friendly, but they always speak to you. And here you can see that you can go upstairs, or you can go left, or you can go right. This time we are going to be lucky enough to have benches to sit on.
At least for me to sit on.
At least for Sean to sit on, because I stayed on the scooter. But if I had wanted to get off the scooter, I could have and just sat on one of these benches. Now, a lot of times these ferries are completely packed and there's nowhere to sit. And this is where you find a lot of times that you see a lot of older people who need to sit down, and people just won't get up and let them have the seats. And they'll just make the older people just kind of stand there, and you can just see the exhaustion and the worry on their faces. And you've got much younger people who just won't move.
However, the ride across is 7 minutes across Seven Seas Lagoon.
Yep.
So if you do need to stand, it's pretty doable. The water's not rough at all. It's a very smooth ride. And we're just taking this to the entrance of Magic Kingdom, and then we're going to go off and do other things.
Now, I chose not to stand on this one because I've been on the scooter for a little bit. So generally, once I've been sitting for a little while, I kind of have to get up and walk around. But I just didn't want to go from one surface that's not entirely soft, my cushion on my seat, to a seat that is really not soft at all. So I just decided to stay where I was and make the best of a situation.
But that's how easy it is to travel the boat system throughout Walt Disney World. Now, there are a couple of resort boats that we didn't take.
We have in the past, but just not on this trip.
Right, but they're very specific, going to single resorts. But if you want to do Disney Springs, if you want to do any of these locations, they're all pretty easy. So don't be afraid to take some joy in the journey. Take a little time and take the boats.
Well, I don't need the candy or the sugar cane. You're the sweetest thing that I've ever seen. You can take the money and the diamond rings, 'cause I know without you they don't mean a thing. That's right. For all my life, just you and I. Brighter than the stars from my window pane, warmer than the morning on a summer's day. The antidote to anything that's hurting me. Now to think about you, I would ever change, I know. Well, all my life, just you and I. And may the stars be light to guide you home tonight. I hope the one you find will hold you precious now. Before you knew my name, yeah, I was a fool. Hopeless little boy trying to break the rules. Now everything that I'll ever need is standing here in front of me. That's why, for all my life, just you and I. Well, I could watch you sleep, never dare to dream that you'd find your way into my life somehow. Well, I get lost inside of those fragile eyes, and I know your smile, it could save my life, so save it again. Ooh, ooh. Please save me again. Ooh, ooh. Please save